Did you know that Ukraine came up with new markings in Kherson? And as you can see from this picture, these are these orange squares. And speaking about the south, according to the Institute for the Study of War, the liberation of Kherson is only weeks away. Because of this, Russians try to build temporarily bridges and pontoons as quick as possible, just so they can run away. And in the meantime, Ukrainians in the east are about to retake another major city. And after this, it's only one being left until they can initiate the full liberation of Luhansk region. And in response to that, Russians want to do a referendum in Luhansk right now. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Let's go straight to the point and talk about the situation in the south. And first of all, as you can see from this video, Russians attacked another nuclear power plant in Ukraine, this time located in Yuzhno-Ukrainsk. And then we have this video from Mykolaiv, where we can see the missiles that Russians launched from Kherson against this city. And while Russians are trying to demoralize Ukrainians by attacking civilian objects, Ukrainians are indeed doing a progress in their counteroffensive. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Ukrainians have just entered the city of Pravdini, located right here. And it is assumed that after this, Ukrainian forces will start moving towards Kherson. In addition to that, the second direction of retaking Kherson for Ukrainians will be along Ingulets River. And thirdly, Ukrainians are now gathering in Vysokopolye to launch the third direction of retaking Kherson from the east. And because of this, according to, once again, Institute for the Study of War, Ukraine will be most likely able to retake Kherson within weeks. And some Russians remaining in this area understand this as well. That is why they started fleeing in advance, in order to avoid chaotic retreat in the future. We even have this satellite image from Novokakhovka, where we can see that Russians are building pontoons just so they can escape. And at the same time, as you can see from this video from previously liberated areas in the south, Ukrainians are finding multiple reports by Russian soldiers who are expressing their concerns and willing to quit the army. I mean, I can only imagine the morale of Russian soldiers in Kherson who have been abandoned by their commanders and told to hold on as long as they can. And before we talk about the increasingly important situation in the east, here is a funny life hack by Aristovich how you can find Russian collaborators. So according to him, all you have to do is to find the most expensive looking house in temporarily occupied area. Most likely this property will belong to the Russian infiltrator because they are paid a lot by the Russian government and they simply cannot resist the temptation to show off their status. And believe it or not, so far it's been working pretty accurate. Alright, and now as promised, let's start moving to the east. And while I'm going there, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel if you like this style of daily updating. And in this video, which came to us from Melitopol, we can see that another Russian infiltrator, Denis Stefankov, was eliminated. And then in this video from Zaporozhye, we can see that Russians shelled this city around a dozen times. Then we quickly move to Belgorod, and in this picture we can see the consequences of Russian air defense system in action. But at the same time, as you can see right here, Russians launched at least 7 missiles from Belgorod against Kharkov. And unfortunately, some of these missiles, they did reach their final destinations. Then we move a little bit to the south to Balaklia. And as you can see from this picture, Ukrainians were able to completely destroy a Russian military base using HIMARS. Going a little bit more to the east, to Hrushevka, we can see that Ukrainian flag was raised in another liberated city. But unfortunately, after Ukrainians took back Kupyansk, they were able to find these torture chambers inside the city. But this did not break the Ukrainian spirit as they continued to cross the Askil River, because crossing such water obstacles is an essential part of future liberation of the entire Luhansk region, and I'll talk more about this in details very soon. And right here we have a picture from Svatove, where Ukrainians were able to destroy a hotel that Russians use as their military base. And as we go a little bit more to the south, we can see a picture of Ukrainian flag being raised in Yarve. And yet here is another video from liberated Shurove. And finally we have another video from liberated Dibrova, and as you can see, all this action is happening very close to the next key city in the east, Liman. One quick note right here: if you want to see more footage from today's episode, especially the one which I was not able to use, please consider checking my Patreon. All the proceeds will be donated to Ukraine, and you can find all the useful links down below. And before I talk about the second major part of the video, the upcoming liberation of the East, here is just literally 4 more footages from the same area. First of all, as you can see from this picture, Russians destroyed an electrical equipment in Luhansk. And then, as we move to the south, here we can see that Ukrainians were able to destroy a Russian military warehouse in Donetsk region. Right here we have a video of shellings that are happening inside the city of Donetsk itself. And finally, in this video we can see Ukrainians capturing the abandoned Russian military vehicles in Kharkov region. Besides just regular trucks, we can also see tanks and armored personnel carriers, which once again confirms the fact that Russia is one of the biggest military donors to Ukraine. Alright, and now as promised, let's talk about the upcoming liberation of the East. First of all, and it has already been confirmed by the head of Luhansk region Sergei Haidai, that Ukrainians were able to liberate Bilohirivka. Then we have this video which came to us very close from Liman, and the soldiers basically saying that Ukrainians are getting ready for the final push against this city. At this very moment, Ukrainians are gathering in the areas next to this city, and reportedly some Russians already started fleeing from Liman. And if you remember, Liman is one of 3 key cities in this area, besides Yimpil and Bilohirivka, which will allow Ukrainians to launch their counteroffensive against Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. And as of right now, Bilohirivka is already liberated, Liman is about to be liberated, leaving only Yimpil to be the last major city in this area. And in addition to that, according to the Institute for the Study of War, Ukrainians continue to consolidate their forces to the east side of Askili River. And so it is my honest expectation that as soon as Ukrainians will be able to liberate 3 major cities in this area, once again Bilohirivka, Yimpil and Liman, this is when the next target for them will become Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. And as soon as they are successful, I assume that the rapid liberation of this part of Luhansk region will take place. And now, guess what is the response of Russian infiltrators? Well, according to them, they want to do this separation referendum right now. And the reason for this is that as soon as Ukrainians start taking back Luhansk, they can say, well, now they're attacking the territory of Russia. And because of this, Russia will have another reason to announce a mobilization and to justify their invasion into Ukraine. But I think what's even more important is that they want to protect Luhansk through this referendum is basically Russians acknowledging that they don't have enough forces to physically protect Luhansk. I now want to personally say thank you to Edward McGreal, Hrishikesh Menon, Thomas Samuelson and Gary Cox for becoming my most recent channel members. And if you want to see me trying my best to pronounce your name, and I'm so sorry in advance, please consider becoming my channel member as well. Finally, if you want to see the most recent statistics on Russian losses, feel free to join my Discord. And yes, it's completely free. Thank you so much for your attention, follow me on Instagram, stay safe, and see you tomorrow.